Hey everybody, I'm Chad Booksam. Thank you so much for tuning in and God bless. I want to discuss this major explosion that has happened in Beirut, Lebanon, and clear up some of the false reporting that you've been saying that, oh, it was probably a fireworks accident. First of all, let me discuss this just a little bit because both sides are playing games. There's a huge war going on between Israel and Iran. It's been happening, and obviously we back Israel and you have other forces backing Iran. But this has been happening for some time. We saw in the last couple of months actually, all of these mishaps happening at nuclear power plants in Iran, nuclear facilities. What's happening? How are these fires and explosions occurring? Is this a hack? Is it just somebody, he's flicking a cigarette in the wrong place? No, these are attacks by Israel. Israel has been bombing the hell out of Hezbollah and Shia militants in Syria for some time as well. And Hezbollah is a branch of Iran. Hezbollah is a militant organization. The United States declares them a terrorist organization. In Lebanon, they have a lot of power in Lebanon, in the government. Hezbollah's, this military force, this militant force, Hezbollah is more powerful than the Lebanese military, some would say. They fought multiple wars with Israel already. And this has been going on for some time. Now we know there's a big Shia-Sunni divide. With Sunni, you have Saudi Arabia, a lot of the Sunni groups we back in the Middle East. When it comes to Shia, which is Hezbollah, Iran, a lot of forces like Russia, China, they back. There's a big Muslim divide in the Middle East that a lot of people, need to be aware of. But also this has to do with the fact that Israel is at war with Iran, and so are we to some extent. Now, because he gave Iran so much leeway under the Obama administration, going through with the Iranian nuclear agreement, this gave Iran so much money. They were able to fund their organization and spread it out much further. They have elements and groups across the Middle East. They have it obviously in Israel and in Syria. They have it here in America. There's so many Hezbollah sleeper cells here in America. And they have it in South America as well. Hezbollah is a worldwide militant organization that is a branch of the Revolutionary Guards of Iran. And right now what you're seeing is a war happening and taking place. What Hezbollah is doing, they don't want to say that, oh, Israel did this, because look, the people of Lebanon has revolted against Hezbollah a lot of times. How do I know this? Because my family, my background all comes from Lebanon, so I know this. And at the same time, Israel doesn't want to say, because Israel never announces that they're doing this, because the way they approach protecting their country, they do what they have to do and they shut their mouth about it because they're in one of the most dangerous places in the world as a Jewish state. Now, this is also at a brink and at a point in time where, President Donald Trump has moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. A lot of biblical things are happening in the Middle East. There's a huge religious war. Christians are being persecuted. This absolutely, with the coronavirus, with the economies collapsing in all these countries, the economy collapsing in Lebanon, it's horrible there. You can't even go to the bank and pull out your cash. That's why, we do a lot of warning here. Don't trust the banks. In Lebanon, people couldn't even pull out their money anymore. The economy's collapsing. Economy's collapsing in Iran with the coronavirus, with this pandemic, what's happening here in the United States. Look, we support Israel no matter what, and this could lead to a much broader war, a much bigger biblical world war. If you know the details, if you know the players, if you know the superpowers, who's backing who, if you know what's happening in Syria, if you know what's happening with Saudi Arabia and Yemen, if you know what's happening with Hezbollah and Lebanon and with Israel and Hamas and all of these connections, this different axis that's happening between Russia and China and their forces in the Middle East and us, this is a broader war. It's bigger than what you think. This bomb that went off, look, the shock wave that it produced, it looked like they had chemical weapons or some kind of nuclear weapon. It created this huge shock wave. It looked like missiles came down to create this kind of wave that spread miles away. Balconies destroyed, buildings. This was Hiroshima in Lebanon, in Beirut. Thousands are probably killed, devastating, and just a reflection of what we're facing overseas. We could be drawn into a much bigger war, which people don't even know about here in this country because they're so brainwashed and stupid by the mainstream media. We have it so good in this country, too good. We're too concerned about microaggressions. Look what they're facing with all these bombings, and we're sitting here complaining about being misgendered. Just think about that for a second as well. So I'm going to keep you updated on all this. Obviously, we're going to lead into more information. But the thing I want to leave you with, this is a bigger war than what you're seeing. This wasn't an accident. This has to do with Iran, has to do with Israel, proxy, major war, call it whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, what's happening in Israel, what's happening in Iran, what's happening in the Middle East with all these attacks is not by coincidence. This is an effort and a strategic effort at that to create dominance and who is going to lead the Middle East in the future. Anyway, guys, my name is Chad Booksam. I'll be back with a report very soon. Thank you. Please thumb up and share this video. God bless.